The server room hummed quietly like a big machine was softly breathing. Fans whirred, lights blinked on and off, and wires twisted around the ceiling like snakes. I sat cross-legged on the floor, my laptop balanced carefully on my knees, checking every part of the computer system that kept Voss Financial Group working. This was my special place in the building, the basement. It smelled faintly like metal and old electronics, and the walls were lined with racks full of machines and blinking lights. Big backup generators sat quietly in the corner, ready to roar to life if anything went wrong. Which, of course, hardly ever happened. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me, where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? I want to know how far this story goes. My family thought I was just playing with computers. But I knew the truth. I was keeping the company alive. Every email that went out, every number on the computer, every important message that mattered for millions of dollars went through the systems I controlled. Through the thin walls above me, I could hear footsteps. The offices were right on top of the basement. My father's office, my brother Kieran's office, my sister Celine's office. They spent their days in shiny rooms with glass walls, making big decisions, meeting important clients, and talking about numbers that could make or lose millions. They looked like they were in charge. I looked like I was just a helper fixing computers. Suddenly, Kieran's voice came through the intercom I had installed last year. "Aurelia, are you down there?" I pressed the button and answered. "Yeah, what is it?" "Dad's computer is frozen again. Can you come fix it?" I sighed a little. "I'm in the middle of a system update. Can it wait 20 minutes?" "No. He has a client call at 10. Come up now." The intercom clicked off. I saved my work, closed my laptop, and headed for the stairs. 5 flights up. The elevators weren't working, of course. Nothing in the building worked unless I fixed it myself. When I reached Dad's office, it looked exactly like I remembered from when I was little. Dark wooden furniture, big leather chairs, shiny desk, and framed photographs of him shaking hands with politicians and business leaders. He was on the phone, waving his hands, clearly frustrated. I walked around his desk and looked at the computer screen. It wasn't frozen. It was just showing an error because he tried to open a file with software he had deleted last month, even though I had warned him not to. I fixed it in 40 seconds. "All done," I said. He nodded without looking at me, still talking on the phone. I stepped into the hallway and almost bumped into Celine. "Oh, good. You're here," she said, holding out her tablet. "This thing isn't syncing with my email. I have a presentation in an hour." I looked at it and saw the problem immediately. She had turned off Cloud Sync, probably to save battery. I fixed it in 30 seconds and handed it back. "Finally. I've been trying to fix this for 2 days," she said, already walking away and typing fast. "Oh, and Aurelia, the shareholders' meeting is tomorrow at 2. Don't schedule any maintenance then. Everything has to work perfectly." "I know," I said. "I sent the reminder last week." "Good. And maybe dress a little nicer tomorrow. Important people will be here." She disappeared around the corner before I could answer. I stood there in the empty hallway, holding my laptop, wearing jeans and a company polo shirt. The shareholders' meeting. That was the meeting where my family would sit at a long table, talk about how well the company did, show off their smart plans, and make huge decisions about millions of dollars. They thought they were in charge, but they didn't know the truth. I actually owned most of the company's money, 73% of the assets. Not the company itself, just the money it managed. My grandfather, Lucien Voss, had been smart, brilliant, and very strict. When he died 6 years ago, he left the company to my dad and my Aunt Isolde, but he left the real money, the portfolio, to me. There was a letter, as he liked to do. It said, "Aurelia, if you are reading this, you now legally own the Voss portfolio. Your father thinks he controls it, but he does not. The company manages it, but you own it. You can keep it a secret or tell your family later. I trust you to know when the time is right. Your father is good at running a business, but he is not a real owner. Your brother is ambitious but reckless. Your sister is smart but impatient. You, however, understand how things really work. The company needs someone like you." For 3 years I had kept this secret. 3 years of watching my family run Voss Financial Group, thinking they owned it, while I quietly fixed their computers, kept everything working, and learned all the secrets about the portfolio I actually owned. Because I was the IT administrator, I had access to everything. Every email, every document, every financial plan went through my systems. I knew about Kieran's risky investments in cryptocurrency. I knew about Celine's ideas to expand too fast into markets she didn't fully understand. I knew about Dad's desperate attempts to match my grandfather's amazing returns, even as he slowly made mistakes that could hurt the portfolio. I knew everything. Tomorrow, at the shareholders' meeting, they were planning to move $200 million into a very risky fund Kieran had designed. They needed my approval, but they didn't know it yet. The next morning, I got to the office at 6 a.m. to run final system checks before the meeting. Everything had to work perfectly: the projector, the video calls, the internet, the computers. I was in the main conference room, testing the projector, when Kieran walked in at 7:30. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Making sure your presentation doesn't crash in the middle of your big moment," I said. "Right. Good," he said, setting down his coffee. "Hey, while you're here, can you look at something? My financial software keeps giving errors." I walked over. The problem was clear. He had tried to make the software do something it wasn't made to do. "You're trying to predict 20-year returns for a fund that has only existed for 6 months," I said. "Can you just make it work anyway?" he asked. "I can make the error messages go away, but the projections will not be correct," I said. "Just make the errors stop. The board doesn't need to know the limitations," he said. I stared at him. "You're showing them wrong information." "I'm showing them a vision," he said. "Sometimes you have to go beyond the data. That's called innovation. You wouldn't understand." I fixed the error messages quietly, without another word. By 2 p.m., the conference room was full. 12 board members were sitting around the long table, including some outside advisors. Dad sat at the head of the table. Kieran to his right, looking confident in his fancy suit. Celine to his left, reviewing her notes carefully. I sat in the back corner at the small AV table, my laptop ready, prepared to fix anything that broke. No one questioned it. That was always where the IT person sat, quiet, invisible, fixing technical problems. The meeting began. Dad spoke first, giving an overview of the company's performance. Most things were good, some ups and downs in certain markets, but overall the company was doing well. Then Kieran stood up to give his presentation. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, speaking confidently, "Voss Financial Group has been successful by being careful and conservative, but the market is changing. Our clients are younger, more willing to take risks, and they want new, innovative investment ideas." He clicked through slides, showing trends and opportunities in the market. "That's why I'm proposing the Voss Innovation Fund, a $200 million portfolio that will focus on fast-growing technology sectors, cryptocurrency, and emerging markets." He paused, looking around the room. "We need to evolve with the market to stay successful. This fund will help us grow and attract new clients who are looking for exciting opportunities." Dad nodded, looking proud. Celine wrote notes quickly, clearly interested in some parts of the plan. The board members whispered among themselves, asking a few questions, and Kieran answered confidently. Meanwhile, I sat quietly in the corner, watching everything. I knew the truth about this fund. I knew it was risky, too risky for our real portfolio. I also knew that my family didn't know that the money they were managing didn't actually belong to them. They thought they owned it, but I did. I had the power to approve or stop anything. And tomorrow, in this very meeting, I could decide what to do with the $200 million Kieran wanted to put into that risky fund. They had no idea. And I, Aurelia Voss, the quiet IT administrator, the person everyone ignored, was the real owner of it all. I smiled slightly to myself. They were busy showing off their skills and ideas, thinking they were in control. Meanwhile, I had been quietly learning, watching, understanding, and waiting for the right moment to take action. And that moment was very close. The projected returns, he clicked to a slide showing the numbers I had fixed that morning, are really good. The numbers showed that in 20 years, the money could grow 3 times or more. Some of the board members leaned forward in their chairs, looking very interested. Celine went next. She explained how the new fund would work. She talked about management fees, which is the money the fund managers take for their work. She also talked about ways to get new clients and how they would tell people about the fund. She sounded very professional. Everything sounded like it was carefully planned, but all of it depended on money they didn't really control. "Before we vote," said Malik Faraday, one of the board members who was not part of the family, "I want to understand the risks better. This is a big part of our money. What will happen if things go wrong? How will we protect ourselves?" Kieran started to explain. He was trying to talk about the diversification plan, which is a way to spread out money to make it safer. I whispered quietly from my corner, "It's not enough for this level of risk." Everyone turned to look at me. "Sorry," I said, not really sorry at all. But the plan you are showing doesn't think about how cryptocurrency and technology stocks can go down at the same time. If both go down together, like they did twice in the last 5 years, you could lose 40 to 60% of the money, not just 15% like you said. Kieran's face turned bright red. Aurelia, this is a board meeting, not a tech support meeting, he said angrily. I know, I said. Then maybe you should go fix computers and leave money decisions to people who understand them, he snapped. Several board members shifted in their seats, looking uncomfortable. I do understand it, I said. Your plan is wrong. The 20-year predictions are based on only 6 months of data. That's far too little to make predictions for 20 years. And your risk numbers ignore very important factors. Any good analyst would see this immediately. That's enough, Dad said sharply. Aurelia, if you can't be respectful during the board meeting. She's right, Malik Faraday said quietly. He was looking at his tablet, reading the presentation materials. These numbers are questionable. Where did this data come from? Our internal team, Kieran said quickly. I added, which is just Kieran and 2 analysts he hired last quarter. Neither of them knows anything about cryptocurrency markets. Aurelia, I'm warning you, Kieran said. His confident voice was gone, replaced by barely controlled anger. Leave now. I don't think she should, said another board member, Zara Belgrave. She looked at me with new attention. She is raising good points. I want to hear more from her. She's IT support, Celine said. She only fixes computers. She doesn't have the expertise to make investment decisions. Actually, I said, I have a master's degree in financial engineering from MIT. I earned it while working here. I took night classes for 4 years while also working. Silence filled the room. You never told us that, Dad said. You never asked for anything. We just assumed you only worked with computers. But you work in the server room, Kieran said. Why would you get a master's in finance if you didn't want to work with money? I never said I wanted to work with finance, I said. You needed someone to fix your systems, and I was available. It seemed useful to understand how your financial systems worked and how the company's technology and money actually connect. This is very interesting, Kieran said sarcastically, but it doesn't change the fact that you are not a voting board member. This decision is for the real stakeholders. About that, said a voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to look. A man in his 60s stood there with a leather briefcase. I recognized him immediately. Edmund Caro, senior partner at Caro & Associates, our family's law firm. I thought. Mr. Caro, Dad said, standing. We weren't expecting you. Is this about the quarterly legal review? No, Mr. Voss. I'm here because this board is about to vote on transferring assets, and that kind of action requires the approval of the legal owner, Caro said. I'm the owner, Dad said. You manage the assets, Caro replied, but you do not own them. He walked to the table and placed his briefcase down. From it, he took out a document and put it in front of Dad. This is Lucian Voss's Asset Allocation Trust, he said. It was established 18 years ago. When your father passed away, it transferred ownership of the investment portfolio to his granddaughter, Aurelia Voss, on her 23rd birthday. The room erupted. Kieran was shouting. Celine turned pale. Dad stared at the paper as if it were written in a language he could not understand. That's impossible, Kieran finally managed to say. Your father left the company structure to your family, but the money itself belongs to Aurelia, Caro said calmly. You've been managing it, but any major decisions like transferring $200 million into a new investment require her explicit approval. Dad's voice sounded hollow. Aurelia, did you know about this? Yes. For 3 years. 3 years, he repeated slowly. You've known that you controlled everything? I've controlled everything, I said. Kieran slammed his hand on the table. This is fraud. You've been lying to us all this time. I've never lied, I said. I just never corrected your wrong assumptions. You've been spying on us. I have access to everything as an IT administrator. It's my job to know everything about the systems. I was only trying to understand how my portfolio was being managed. You've been sitting in the server room fixing computers while we built this company, Celine said bitterly. And now you claim the money is yours? Not the company, I said. The assets. The $500 million investment portfolio that you've been managing for 6 years, and in some cases mismanaging, belongs to me. Mismanaging? Kieran shouted. Yes. You grew it at 4.2% per year. The market average is 7.3%. That is a loss of about $47 million in potential gains over 6 years. And now you want to move 40% into a high-risk fund based on flawed projections with a 63% chance of losing money over the next 3 years. Kieran sneered. You're not a fund manager. You're tech support. I'm the owner, I said. And I'm rejecting this proposal. You can't just, Kieran began. Yes, she can, Caro said. The trust clearly says that any major restructuring requires the approval of the owner. Aurelia is the owner, and she is declining to approve the plan. Dad stared at the document in disbelief. Lucian Voss had planned this. My father did this. He left the company, but the assets went to me. I wanted someone who understands systems, I said. Not just financial systems, Celine said slowly, but all systems, how everything actually works. You've been studying us for 3 years. Yes, I said, while pretending to be only an IT person. I am IT. I am also the owner. I am both. Kieran stood up abruptly. This is insane. We're being held hostage by the person who owns the portfolio. Yes, Caro said. Exactly. That is what is happening. I won't accept this, Kieran said. I'll take this trust to court and fight it. You'll lose, Caro said simply. The trust is ironclad. Every possible challenge was anticipated and accounted for. You cannot win. Then we'll vote to terminate Aurelia as owner somehow, Kieran said. You can't vote to change ownership, Malik Faraday said, looking at the trust with a serious expression. Ownership is determined by legal title, not votes. According to this document, Aurelia has clear legal ownership of the portfolio. Zara Belgrave cleared her throat. I think we need to take a step back. Aurelia, you've been managing IT and monitoring your portfolio for 3 years. What are your intentions now? Will you continue the current management arrangement, or will you make changes? Everyone turned to look at me. I took a deep breath. The room was quiet. Everyone was waiting for my answer. I had been watching and learning for 3 years, silently understanding every decision, every move. I was the IT person, yes, but I also had full control over my own assets. I knew what had been done right and what had been done wrong. I was ready to take control, not just to manage the money safely, but to make sure it grew the way it could. I will continue to let the company manage the portfolio, I said carefully, but only under strict rules. Any high-risk investments must be approved by me first. From now on, the money belongs to me, and I will make sure it is handled properly. Kieran looked furious. Celine was speechless. Dad was stunned. The other board members looked at each other, unsure what to say. Understood, Caro said calmly. That is the owner's decision. The trust is very clear. All future actions must follow her approval. And for the first time in years, I realized that everything I had quietly learned, everything I had watched, and every moment I had spent understanding the systems and the money had brought me to this moment. I was not just an IT person. I was the owner, and I would make sure that my assets, my portfolio, would be safe and grow the right way. I closed my laptop slowly and stood up. My heart was beating a little faster than usual. I looked around the conference room and said, I am going to make big changes. Everyone looked at me. Some people frowned, some looked curious, and some looked nervous. I took a deep breath and continued. I am going to start by checking every money decision made in the last 6 years. I want to see exactly how our money was used, how much it made, and where mistakes happened. That will take months, Celine said. Her voice was calm but worried. Yes, it will take months, I said. The checking starts next week. I already hired a company to help with it. Dad's voice cracked. You already planned this, he said softly. I was getting ready, I said, in case I had to take charge. Today's proposal made it certain. Kieran, my brother, frowned. What about the innovation fund? He asked. Are you just going to stop it completely? Yes, I said firmly. I am not accepting the plan as it is. If you want to try again, it must have a safer plan, real numbers, and ways to protect the money if things go wrong. Then I will think about it. Think about it? Kieran repeated angrily. You'll think about our plan for managing money we've been managing well for 6 years? Not well, I corrected him. You managed it badly, and now I know why I cannot let you move 40% of my money into a risky fund based on wrong ideas. Malik Faraday, one of the board members, was nodding. Aurelia, I want to talk more about your checking plan, he said. Agreed, I said. I will have my team send you the first draft. Your team? Celine asked, raising her eyebrows. You have a team? Yes, I said. I've been building one for 2 years. There are money experts, risk checkers, and managers, all working separately. They were ready in case I had to take charge. Dad's voice went flat. You built a secret team? he asked quietly. Yes, I said. I was preparing to either help you or take over if needed. Today's meeting told me it was needed. Caro, another board member, looked at his watch. I have another meeting. Aurelia, do you need anything else? No. Thank you for coming, I said. He nodded and left. The room suddenly felt very quiet after he went out. Finally, Zara Belgrave, another board member, spoke. I think we should pause the Innovation Fund plan until it is safer and better checked, she said. 7 people raised their hands. Motion passes, Zara said. The meeting was over. People started packing their things. Some board members were already using their phones, probably to tell their companies and clients what happened. Celine stopped next to me. Aurelia, I don't know what to say, she whispered. You don't have to say anything, I told her. I should have asked about your education, about what you were working on. I just thought I was good with computers. I know everyone did. She left quietly. Kieran didn't say anything. He just grabbed his laptop and stormed out angrily, looking upset and embarrassed. Eventually, only Dad and I were left in the conference room. He was sitting at the head of the table, looking at the trust papers in front of him. Your grandfather always said you were like him, Dad said finally. Quiet, watching, patient. I thought he meant shy. I didn't realize he meant smart and careful. He taught me to wait for the right moment. And this was the right moment. Humiliating your brother in front of the board. This stopped him from risking $200 million of my money with a bad plan. Dad was quiet for a long time. Now what happens? He asked. Now we either work together to manage the money correctly, or we don't, and I hire new people. That's up to you, I said. Would you fire your own family? He asked. I would fire bad managers, family or not, I said. He stood slowly, looking older than that morning. I built this company. Your grandfather and I built it together. You built the company's structure, the client relationships, and the reputation. Those things are valuable, and they are yours. But the money you've been managing belongs to me. It always has because my father didn't trust me to own it. And that's true, he said quietly. We didn't talk for a while. We both knew it was true. Dad left without saying anything else. I stayed in the room for a few minutes, listening to the building, the hum of the air system, the distant ringing of phones, and the normal sounds of the office. My phone buzzed. It was Malik Faraday. Impressive, he texted. Let's meet next week to talk about the checking plan. You will find more people on the board supporting you than you thought. Then a message from Zara Belgrave. That took courage. Your grandfather would be proud. Finally, a text from my private wealth manager. Just saw the news. Ready to move forward when you are. I picked up my laptop and went back to the server room. I had work to do, system updates, security checks, the usual maintenance that kept everything running. Tomorrow I will move to a proper office. Tomorrow I will start the money check. Tomorrow I would really start managing my money instead of just watching it. But tonight, I had one more night in the server room. One more night as just the IT person. One more night before everything changed. The next morning, I went to the office and found a note on the server room door. Aurelia, please come to the executive floor. We made an office for you. Jennifer HR, it said. I climbed 5 flights of stairs and found Jennifer waiting. We changed the corner office on this floor for you, she said nervously. It has windows, a desk, chairs, everything you need. Mr. Faraday called this morning. You will be taking a more active role managing things. Thank you, Jennifer, I said. Also, Kieran and Celine quit last night. I stopped. Both of them? Yes, she said. Kieran's note was short. Celine wrote more. She said she couldn't work for her younger sister. It would be too uncomfortable. I see, I said. Dad didn't quit? No, Jennifer said. He came in this morning and wants to meet you when you have time. The corner office was exactly like Jennifer said. Big windows looking over the city. A big desk, leather chairs. Everything that was supposed to show power and importance. I put my laptop on the desk and looked around. This was what winning looked like. But it felt emptier than I expected. My phone rang. It was Dad. Aurelia, he said. Can you come to my office? I found him at his desk, looking at a photo on the wall. It showed him and my grandfather, younger, standing in front of the first Voss Financial Group office. A small store that grew into the building we now used. Kieran and Celine quit, he said without talking first. They are angry and embarrassed. Kieran is talking to lawyers about the trust, but I told him it's useless. Caro was right. The trust is strong. I know, I said. He turned to me. I spent 30 years building this company, teaching your brother and sister how to manage money and work with clients. And it turns out it didn't matter, because the money was never really mine. The company is still yours. Yes, I said. The structure, the client relationships, the brand, all yours. What you built with Grandpa is valuable. But it depends on the money you control. Yes, he said quietly. Your grandfather was right about me. I am good at managing, but bad at owning. I was too careful when I should be brave, and too brave when I should be careful. I let Kieran push me into bad plans. I let Celine's confidence override my concerns. You have kept the company stable for 6 years. That's good, but not enough for someone who owns $500 million in money. He looked at me. What do you need from me, Aurelia? Do you want me to stay, resign, or just help for advice? I thought about it all night. I want you to do what you do best, I said. Manage clients, keep the company's reputation, keep the business running. But I am bringing in new people to manage the money. People who understand today's markets and risks. And Kieran's innovation fund is dead as it was proposed. I am not against new ideas. I am against risky ideas pretending to be smart. What about me? Dad asked. Where do I fit in the new structure? You are the CEO of Voss Financial Group, I said. That doesn't change. But the investment decisions for my money go through me and my team. You run the company, but I control the money. Yes, he said slowly. Your grandfather's plan. Keep the family involved, but make sure the money is safe from mistakes. I hated that he was right. Dad's voice was calm, just tired. I hate that he saw my weaknesses and planned for them after his death. He loved you, but he didn't trust you with money. Both statements are true and strange together. He stood and looked out the window. I will stay, he said finally. I am good at what I do, even if it isn't what I thought it was. I want to stay. And Kieran and Celine, if they can accept the new rules, they can come back. If not, I will hire new people. They won't come back, I said. They are too proud and too angry. He turned to face me. You made them look bad in front of the board, he said quietly, shaking his head a little. I stopped them from losing $200 million, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. They made themselves look bad, he replied. They showed a plan they hadn't checked properly. They didn't know what they were doing. That's not how they'll remember it, I said. We both stopped talking for a moment. The room was quiet except for the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. Your grandfather used to say something, Dad said slowly, looking at me. I remembered. Dad added. He'd say that the most powerful person in the room is usually the one everyone underestimates. I had never really understood what that meant. At first, I thought he meant being humble or modest. Maybe it was a good thing to not brag. But now I understand better. He actually meant something much more clever. If people think you aren't strong or important, they let their guard down. They talk more, share secrets, and show what they are really thinking. That gives someone like me an advantage. I could see things other people didn't notice, learn things they didn't want to share, and be ready if a problem came up. You've been using that advantage for 3 years, Dad said. Yes, I said. I worked in the server room fixing computers, learning everything about the company, the systems, the emails, and the way everyone worked. That's scary, Aurelia, he said. The idea that someone has been watching everything, knowing everything, and planning everything. I wasn't planning to take over, I explained. I was just ready. I wanted to be prepared in case I needed to help. That's different from planning to take over. Is it? He asked. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been running this company for 3 years while pretending to be just tech support. I was tech support, I said. I was also the owner. Both things are true. I fixed computers, but I also understood every part of the company. That's why I could help when it was needed. Dad shook his head slowly, a little amazed. Your grandfather trained you well. You are more like him than I ever was. Is that a compliment? I asked, feeling a little proud but also a little nervous. I honestly don't know, he said with a small smile. He went back to his desk and looked at a photograph for a long time. I could see the memories in his eyes. I'll send an email to the staff today, he said. I'll announce some changes and introduce you as part of management. People will have questions. Let them ask, I said. And the board? Malik Faraday is already on board. Zara Belgrave too. The others will follow once they see the audit results, Dad said confidently. You're very confident, he added.